Man, it really hasn't been that long since The Pit wrapped up its massive Season 2 finale, but if you're anything like me, you're literally already counting the days until Season 3. Because Season 2 didn't just continue the story we all love, it went deeper. I mean, much, much deeper. We got heavier storylines, brand new characters, and honestly, most importantly, we saw the foundations crack. We watched as these core characters, people we genuinely thought were completely unbreakable, started to fracture right in front of us.
Okay, let's dive into this, because this right here is the absolute core of what that recent finale left us grappling with. What actually happens when the strongest person in the room simply cannot hold it together anymore? The psychological trauma that the show revealed at the end of the season wasn't just some cheap plot device. No way. It was a fundamental shift in how we understand this hospital and the people keeping it running.
Section 1. The Epicenter. Dr. Robbie's Breaking Point.
Look, to really understand where Season 3 is going, we absolutely have to start with Dr. Robbie. There is just such a stark contrast between who Robbie is to the hospital and who he actually is to himself. On the surface level, he's still the guy everyone relies on, right? He's calm, he's controlled, he's the one who always knows exactly what to do when everything goes wrong. But Season 2 made it glaringly clear that under the surface, that version of Robbie is barely holding together. Take that bike trip he talked about. Actually, let's be real, that didn't feel like a vacation at all. It felt like a desperate escape, like he was trying to run away from everything, maybe even from himself. And honestly, it was pretty uncomfortable to watch because there were moments where it felt like he didn't even care if he ever came back.
When you map it all out on a timeline, the sheer weight of what he's been carrying is just staggering. Look at these stressors. He endured the relentless months of COVID protocols and all those losses. Then, the acute grief of losing his mentor. And right on the heels of that, a mass shooting. And then finally, his own personal life completely falling apart. That is not just everyday workplace stress, you guys. That is profound trauma. And the show leaned right into it. His colleagues, Dana, Abbott, Langdon, they all saw it. Everyone knew something was deeply wrong, but they were entirely unable to reach him.
And you know, that isolation just continued right up until that incredibly powerful C-section scene, saving that baby who almost didn't make it and then holding baby Jane Doe. When Robbie held that baby, we saw something physically shift in him. As this quote perfectly captures, he wasn't magically fixed, and I'm so glad the show isn't pretending it's that simple. But for the first time in a very long time, it felt like he found a reason to stay. A very real, very tangible reason to just keep going.
So, the absolutely crucial point here is that this exact moment is where Season 3 is going to pick up. The theme is shifting from Robbie merely surviving to Robbie actually healing. In that process, it's going to happen slowly, messily, and realistically. Therapy feels totally inevitable for him now, especially after Abbott so bravely opened up about his own experiences with seeking help. If Robbie chooses that path, it's a real game changer. It changes everything.
Section 2. The Collateral Damage, the Ripple Effect of Unhealed Trauma.
Because here is the harsh reality. Robbie's unhealed trauma didn't just hurt him, it actively damaged his team. And this brilliantly illustrates what I mean. Let's look objectively at his relationship with Alhashimi. The action, she trusted him with a deeply personal secret. The reaction, instead of supporting her, Robbie threatened to report her. The result, completely broken trust. Maybe his intentions weren't entirely wrong from a purely clinical standpoint, but the method he used, the way he handled it, yeah, that caused deep, deep relational damage.
Which means, when Season 3 begins, Alhashimi is going to be incredibly emotionally guarded. Even if her treatment works out perfectly and she comes back physically stronger, which, fingers crossed, we are all hoping for, emotionally, there is a wall up for sure. Don't expect things between them to just magically go back to normal. If anything, expect distance. And if Robbie slips back into that harsh, controlling tone he was using, things between them are going to get highly personal very quickly.
We also have to look at how his trauma impacted Mohan. Robbie has always been a tough leader, right? Pushing for excellence under intense pressure is just part of the job. But there is a distinct difference between pressure and crossing the line. Snapping at Mohan right after she had a panic attack, that firmly crossed the line. It totally validates her very understandable decision to step away from the main shift to protect herself.
Now, I know losing Mohan from the core team was frustrating for a lot of fans, so let's clarify her situation. She is technically still at the hospital, but she is off the main shift that our story follows. The showrunner has actually confirmed this was always the narrative plan. There's no behind-the-scenes drama driving this, I promise.
But as viewers, it absolutely still feels like a missing piece because her dynamic with Robbie added so many fascinating layers to the whole show.
Section 3. Enter the night shift. A strange, quieter energy.
To balance out some of that heavy emotional fallout, the show is opening up a totally new frontier, and it's a massive tonal breather. While the day shift is defined by being intense and chaotic, the night shift, it operates on a totally different frequency. It's quieter, yes, but it is deeply unpredictable. There is less noise in the halls, but that definitely does not mean there is less drama coming through those emergency doors.
And right at the center of this new energy is Dr. Parker Ellis. He is officially stepping into a much bigger role this season. And what's incredibly exciting here is that there are already strong rumors circulating about a possible night shift spin-off entirely centered around his character and this super unpredictable atmosphere. How cool would that be?
Let's move to Section 4. Lingering subplots. Unanswered questions for Season 3.
Beyond Robbie's trauma and the new night shift, we have a mountain of unresolved character arcs. So here are the rapid-fire threads you absolutely need to watch. First, Jesse's storyline with Ice. That felt way too grounded and real to just disappear, so definitely expect a return to that. Second, Jivati pivoting towards psychiatry makes total sense after what she's seen, but will her notoriously judgmental nature hinder her on that path? Third, Santos simply deserves some romantic stability after that storyline with Dr. Garcia went absolutely nowhere. And finally, Langdon and Mel. Their friendship is so natural right now, but is the show slowly, quietly building them towards something more? I honestly cannot wait to find out.
And finally, Section 5, Season 3 Timeline, The Horizon. So we have all this incredible emotional anticipation, but when do we actually get to see it? Let's anchor this with some real-world logistics. Inside the universe of the show, we have a confirmed 4-month time jump from the finale. This is huge because it places the characters squarely in November. That means we could very well be looking at an incredibly tense, high-stakes, Thanksgiving or holiday-themed shift right as the season opens.
But out here in the real world, the timeline is a bit tougher to swallow. The Season 2 finale is behind us, filming is expected to kick off again in June, and if they stick to their usual production schedule, we're likely looking at a January 2027 release date. I know. It is an agonizingly long wait for us fans who are so invested in these stories. But until then, this is the thought I really want to leave you with. After all the trauma, the broken trust, and the crossed lines, can fractured foundations ever truly be rebuilt? Or are some of these characters just changed forever? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep your eyes peeled as we get closer to that premiere date.